Hey folks, back in the game here. I wanted to bring your attention to something that I found yesterday on Comc. If you are already someone who uses Comc, is someone who sends card in regularly, this is something you're going to want to know about. And if you're not someone who regularly uses Comc, I recommend it. I think it's a really good platform for buying and selling cards. Caveat: I am not affiliated with Comc in any way as of the recording of this video. So I'm not saying if in the future they decide they want to partner with me that I wouldn't. I'm just saying as of right now, I have no incentive to tell you one way or another. I just think it's a really good platform. So this special is that you can submit slabs, graded cards, for free. In general, there is a sort of a processing fee for graded cards. No, for any card that you submit on Comc. I thought this was pretty intriguing. It says it ends July 11th. When it says it ends July 11th, that generally means that it's got to be postmarked by that date. But sometimes it means it's got to be in their hands by that day. So let's take a look and see what it means. So it says submit your graded cards for free. Offer valid till July 11th. They will be processed within 4 weeks once they're received. So you send them today, they get them, next week. 4 weeks from then, they should be on your site. Usually the estimate they give on Comc is on the high end. Usually it's up before that. All right, so it must be postmarked by July 11th. Okay. It's only available for mail-in or drop-off submissions at our Washington or Canada locations. That means that it is not eligible for card show drop-offs. I've taken advantage of card show drop-offs a few times, bring in a big box of cards and drop them off rather than paying the shipping to send that to Washington, which is expensive. So you start a new submission. You check the free graded card submissions. Do all the regular stuff. Enter your number of items, the estimate. Select a submission order or submission center. Again, only mail-in or Comc headquarters drop-offs are available. Lastly, approve the submission. Then you'll print out a piece of paper to stick in the box, and you will send it off to Comc. The caveats here are that it's only for these graded card companies: PSA, SGC, CGC, BGS, BVG, and TAG. I think that's pretty reasonable. Those are the only legitimate grade companies, in my opinion, and I'm not even sure I would call all of them legitimate. Desirable. Wouldn't call all of them desirable. So these are not included. HGA, BCCG, which is Beckett's lower tier sort of fake grading, KSA, anything that's not the above, the PSA, SGC, CGC, BGS, BVG, and TAG is not eligible. Another thing, you cannot submit autographs that are not graded. So if you have a card that has an aftermarket autograph that you submitted to PSA, you didn't get the card graded, but you did get the autograph authenticated or graded, that is not an eligible card to be sent. It also says uncirculated cards are not included in this promotion. I believe that means cards that are from Topps or Panini and in a one-touch, like say a Project 70 card. You'll see that on the screen here. It comes in a sealed one-touch. That's an uncirculated card that is not eligible on this promotion. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that today. So if you aren't, you can get your submissions off. And I also want to, in a second here, I'm going to show you the cards that I'm going to send off, right? I have a bunch of slabs that I don't necessarily want anymore that are sitting in my collection that I haven't been able to sell at card shows. And they're just taking up space. Well, if I send them to Comc, they're not taking up space in my house. They're taking up space at Comc. So if it's free to send it, no processing fee, I have no idea why I wouldn't send them. So I've got a bunch of cards that I'm going to show you here. I'm going to send those off to Comc, and we'll see how that goes. So here are some examples of cards that I'm going to send to Comc. I discussed this a little bit earlier in the video about the sale they're having. But these are cards that I have come into one way or another. Some of them were mistakes that I made when I first got back into the card world. Some of them were players that I thought I kind of liked but ended up not liking. Some of them are cards that I graded with the intent to sell and just haven't sold. Let me do a quick caveat there. I will do a video on this eventually, but any of these cards that are part of one of my PSA submissions, none of those submissions are underwater. As in, just the cards I've already sold, I've already made more than I paid in grading fees. So keep that in mind. So any of these selling is just gravy on top of what I've already made. So let me just do a little explanation on each of these, and then we'll do a little wrap up. So this first one is an Elvis Merzlikins Young Guns canvas. I sort of wasn't a big fan of, I'm a Blue Jackets fan. I wasn't a big fan of Elvis. To begin with, I sort of thought I would grab this and just see how he did. And it's pretty clear that he's not the guy. And I'm not sure I just want this sitting around in my PC. So we're going to send it off. The only other hockey card I have was a giant mistake, and that was, I don't think I paid anywhere near that price, and that was this Patrik Laine rookie. First of all, at the time I didn't know sort of the hierarchy of what is good for rookie cards for hockey, and Parkhurst is not one of them. And you know what? Patrik Laine is kind of a piece of garbage, in my opinion. Our organization bent over backwards to, give him all the time and space he needed when his dad died. Supported him while he was going through the players' assistance program. And then the first chance he got after he got traded, he crapped on the organization. So as far as I'm concerned, I never want to see that card again. Okay, so here's a card that, another mistake I made, but this is a card show. When I was first looking at stuff, what I was doing, and this will be a theme throughout this, is I was under the mistaken assumption, and you may be under this assumption now too, so hopefully this will clear things up. A card is not automatically worth what it costs to grade it. That was a lesson I learned, I guess maybe the hard way. I was going to card shows, and I was seeing cards like this one that was less than the cost of grading, and I'm like, oh man, that's a good deal. I can clearly, either keep this or sell this for the cost of grading. I made money. The price that a card sells for has nothing to do with what it costs to grade it. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. Cards can absolutely be worth way less than the grading cost. So that's one that's going to go up. This is another one. You see it's a 10. It's a base Trae Young Panini Prism. Obviously I didn't know what I was doing at that time, but that card would never be worth the grading price. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, so here's a mistake. Not a mistake. Here's one that I sent off. It came back a lower grade than I wanted, and is just not, I've tried to sell this at tons of card shows, and it's just not a liquid card that anybody wants to buy to sell. So that's going up. I won this in an auction on Whatnot. The guy said, I bought a Michael Jordan card or something, and he said, all right, for the next 10 purchases, when you purchase something, you get a free Bol rookie card in a Gem Mint 10, which tells you how much this is worth. It's not worth much. This guy was throwing them in there for free. So This is one I sent in and just came back a really low grade. That's a 7. Most people in the world would crack this. First of all, I don't have any idea why it's a 7. It is pretty on center on the front, pretty on center on the back, and I see no surface damage that I can see. The corners are fine. I don't know. At any rate, I sent this in hoping to capitalize on the upcoming football season when Arch Manning is going to be the starting quarterback for Texas. So, people are going to want to buy his cards. Anyway, it came back a 7. Nobody wants a 7. Same thing with this one, except it came back a 9. Julian Sand has not been named the starter for Ohio State, but he likely will be. So I was going to, get this in a 10 and sell it around the time college football starts and make a little money. But they didn't get a 10, so that's not happening. Another one I sent in that didn't get a 10. I've tried to sell this at a bunch of card shows. A 9 in this is no better or worse than Raw. Pricing wise, maybe Raw is actually a little bit more expensive because Raw has the potential for a 10. A 9 is already a 9. Shortly after I got this back, Jordan Travis retired from football before he ever played a game. So somebody may want that. I don't know. I've got this Javonte Williams rookie card. When I collect Broncos, and I'm sort of in the boat now where I'm not going to keep all of the Broncos I've been collecting. I'm going to focus on just a few. And Javonte Williams didn't make the cut. I've heard he's RB1 in Dallas, though, so that's interesting. This is another one I picked up at a card show. It was... I don't know. It was a fairly cheap card, and at the time I thought, why not pick that up and held it in the collection. Keyshawn Johnson is not very popular in the hobby, so that one's going back up. Here's another former Bronco that I thought might be okay. Turns out he was not good. I don't think he's in the league anymore, so that's going up. Here's one that I saw for less than the cost of grading, and it was right after we knew Trey Lance was going to get traded wherever he got traded. He got traded to Dallas? Did he get traded to Dallas? I'm not sure. Wherever he got traded, I was like, maybe he's got a chance to be a starter. Let's get that. This was a very popular player the year before I started collecting, so maybe take a shot. So that didn't work out. This one is a 10. This is a player I collect. I collect Bo Nix. However, just show what I have in the background. I'm only interested in Bo Nix in a Broncos uniform. I planned on grabbing this and flipping it at a card show. Doesn't seem to be many people wanted it, so I'm going to go ahead and put it up on Comc. Here's another 9, Michael Penix mosaic. If I had it to do all over again, I would not send any mosaics in for football grading, and just because by the time you get those back, all the optics and prisms have already come out, and there's just no reason for people to buy mosaic over optic and prism. This I got in a giveaway on Whatnot. It is a Brown. My wife is a Browns fan, so generally I stick Browns cards away in her collection that she doesn't really know about. However, she's not a Cedric Tillman fan. I know this from watching her watch them on Sundays. So I'm going to put that up, see if anybody wants it. Here's a JD5 and a 9. Again, suffers from the same thing that the other 9s do. Most people would rather buy a raw than a 9. And that's just sort of the modern card industry. Here's Penix, same thing. And another Penix, same thing. All right, now let's get into baseball. Here is Jason Dominguez that came back in 8. I figured a gold of a pretty popular rookie would be something fairly desirable. I wasn't expecting it to come back in 8. There is a corner there that was not damaged. No way I sent that off with that damage. It's not a lot, but it's just a little whitening. There's zero chance I sent that away with whitening on it. So I don't know what to do. Anyway, it's going up. Here's a Jackson Holiday X-Fractor that I've tried to sell at card shows and just hasn't sold. A Holiday Jackson Holiday Tree, actually, parallel for the Jackson Holiday, and that's a 9. Jackson Merrill X-Fractor 9. Lou Bob. You'll see a theme in here. As I came back into the hobby, I also came back into watching some things, some sports that I hadn't watched for years. I hadn't watched baseball in probably 15 to 20 years. I was a White Sox fan growing up. I mostly cheer for the Guardians now just because they're the closest team. And I just thought to myself, you know, let's pick a White Sox player. He seems to be really good. Let's get some cards of his and just hold him for a while. Well, he hasn't turned out to be, you know, what they thought he was going to be. I'm sure he's going to go to another team and be fine. But I picked up a bunch of cheaper Lou Bob rookie cards, and I'm just looking to offload those. I'm not going to keep them in my collection. All right, so this Gavin Lux is another one where I thought, oh, it's a 10 and it's less than the cost of grading. Buy it. Here's another Lou Bob. This was another one, less than the cost of grading. I had no idea what I was doing. That's a like second or third year Pete Alonso. It's a parallel. That's nice, but it's not a card that should have been graded, and certainly isn't one that I should have paid money for. Another one, Ryan Mountcastle rookie cup card in the awful 2021 Topps design. Here's another Lou Bob. Here's a Churio. I had a couple of these, and the other one was a 10, and I sold that fairly easily. But this one I've taken to a bunch of card shows, and nobody's bit. Elway, another White Sox player. I thought, you know, maybe I'll collect. I clearly didn't pay much for that. It's a gallery card. I thought this was kind of cool, but the truth is, if that was Vladdy instead of Kevin Biggio, I think this would be a much cooler card. Kevin Biggio has proven to be sort of a platoon player. He doesn't even play for the Blue Jays anymore. Bichette is a good player, and if it was Vladdy, I would think I would keep this card. I love the Sapphire cards. That's why I bought this one. But anyway, I'm going to move off of that. This card, you can see it's an SGC 9.5. My entire collection is only going to be PSA. I'm going to move off of this and buy it in a PSA 10. Another Lou Bob, that's a freshman flash insert. Dante Bichette. I ended up buying a bunch of Dante Bichette rookie cards. Sorry. Another Bo Bichette. If I've been saying Dante the whole time, I'm sorry. It's his dad. That's who I grew up watching. Another Bo Bichette rookie card. I bought probably 5 or 6 of these. I'm keeping a couple. I just don't need that many. He's not going to be, you know, a Hall of Famer probably or anything. I think he's a good player. I don't need a collection that big. Here's another Dante Bichette. Another Lou Bob. Here's a Vaughn Grissom in a 9 that I decided that would be a good idea for less than grading at a card show. I probably paid $5 or $6 for this, but still, it's not a card that, if I know what I know now, I would have bought today. If I knew then what I know now. Here's another holiday card, Jason Dominguez. Another Lou Bob. This one's chrome. Another Lou Bob. This one's chrome. Another Dante Bichette. Here's a Noelvi Marte. It's a cool card. You know, I don't think he's really gotten his chance with the Reds yet. So, you know, he's somebody that I wouldn't mind having a PSA 10 of. But again, it's an SGC. And if I were to go back in time, I wouldn't buy any SGCs. It's personal preference. If you love SGC better, more power to you. I do not. And the last one is a Jackson Holiday Prism Refractor. So I will be sending those off today. There's a bunch of them, so it's going to weigh a bunch. Probably going to cost me a fair bit of money. I'm going to go ahead and send those off and get them to Comc. All right, folks, thanks for watching. If you are new here, please click subscribe. I always appreciate a like and a comment on my videos, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.